Welcome to Jake's Capstone Project. Hope you enjoy.
All right, how y'all doing today? Good. Okay, so beginning of senior year, we walk into class, inspector looks at us and goes, "What do you want?" And that's all he says. As an 18-year-old, he's pretty much asking, what the heck do you want to do with the rest of your life? And you have no idea. So I'm going to give you a little backstory of how I got to where I am and how I plan to go even further. Grew up in a normal house, you could say. Brother, went to church every Sunday, went to Awanas on Wednesdays, and just how life went. We were very active. I played basketball, football, and baseball ever since I was able to. Just all we knew for years and years and years. And then in 2006, life would change drastically, and little did we know. In 2006, my dad was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, also known as MS, which is a neurological disease that affects your brain and the rest of your body. Being 7 years old, you don't really think about what that is, and you just assume, well, it's just like a cold, it'll go away and everything will be fine. Went about our everyday life still. He coached flag football for me, so we just kept going and going, and as time went on, he had to quit coaching my football, and he was then put into a little wheelchair because walking long distances for him was very challenging, I guess you could say. So getting a little older, you kind of not understand, but kind of realize what's going on of, okay, nothing is getting better, it's only getting worse, so what's going on? Probably at the age of 8 or 9, maybe 10, I started having to help with things I never thought I was going to do. With anything you guys do now, like waking up, getting dressed, all those things, I was starting to do. And then time kept passing, still played sports, was very active, did all those things still, but he was not able to be the coach or anything of that, which was really hard because like that's all we grew up knowing. Activities for him became very small, and it was just hard because you would go to school and you'd come home and you'd help him and you'd go and do homework, and that's just how life was, and that's all I knew. Then fast forward to senior year again, and you're asked the question, what do you want? And I sat there and I had no clue. I was like, hey, I could do something that is really close to home, or I could just do something totally new. And as I kind of look back on freshman, sophomore, junior year, as he got progressively worse and worse, I kind of looked at that and, okay, what if I did something with that area of my life? And my parents were always telling me, like my friends were always telling me, like, you'd be a great nurse. Like, just go do nursing. I'm like, I don't know if I can do that. Like, that's something that's really close to home. I don't know if I want to do that, but, you know, maybe this is a great opportunity too. So in my fall project, I guess you could say, for senior sem, I kind of looked into what it is to be a nurse and, like, what are their responsibilities and what do they do on a daily basis and how does it work and when do you work and, like, all those sorts of things. And I come to find that, I don't know if any of you have seen it, the show called Code Black. It's all about nursing, and I've watched that and kind of gotten a little perspective of what it can be, and just like reading up on people's biographies of, okay, this is what I do for nursing. I decided to do nursing as my capstone project and look into what it is to be an actual nurse in a Christian field. And the three things I really wanted to get out of this were, how can I grow my faith strong enough to when I am put in those situations of being a nurse, how can I stand up and be able to preach to those? How to become more humble about it, and also like to love and care without holding grudges or things. So for me, the first thing I looked into is how can I grow my faith? Because I knew it was not going to be a very easy field to work in. You'd see a lot of nasty things and a lot of hardship. So I went and I read the book of Job, And for those of you who don't know the book of Job, it's about this man named Job who walked right with God, did everything God wanted, like straight path and everything. And then one day Satan comes up and was talking to God, and God goes, yeah, try my servant Job and see what happens. And I bet you he will not waver from me. And God's only thing was, don't take his life. And at the end of Job, we come to find out that Job has nothing left. Absolutely nothing. And yet, he still gets on his knees and thanks God for everything he has, no matter what he's gone through. And for me, I was like, okay, how can I be like Job? Like, or am I even like Job now? And I realized, like, I am nowhere near how Job is. Like, when things go wrong, I get upset and mad and just, why are you doing this, God? Like, what is your point? So I really was like, okay, I want to become more like him, but how do I even do that? So I started to look at other aspects of my life of how can I be more caring, and even if God is trying me in certain areas, how can I look at it in a different way? So as I looked into that, I wanted to also be able to apply that to the nursing field. And I was able to get in contact with a nurse from St. Jude's Hospital who is a Christian lady. And I was able to talk to her on the phone for an hour and a half-ish. And I just asked her, like, how do you integrate faith into your work? And, like, how do you not let all these things that you see just destroy you and, like, take you away from God? And she was really cool about it. She opened up about her story a little bit. And she just realized, like, God has put her in that position for a reason. Like, that has been her calling. And she has understood, like, when she can preach to those, she does. And, like, even though it can be hard at times, she says, like, she doesn't let that affect who she is. Like, she's so grounded in God's word that it's not even a question of whether or not she can talk to those people, because that's just who she is. As I kind of went through my faith even more, I kind of looked at how I could apply that to, like, my own home life, and even if I was doing that now, and I could tell you I was falling very short of that, and I do on a daily basis. So I've tried to figure out ways of what I can do to be more like Job and not to take things for granted. So when we do get to spend time together with our dad, like, even if it's just a movie night or something, like, that's something that we have to, or I have taken in, and, like, taking that as a blessing that he's still here and that we can still do things with him. The other thing is to become more humble. Ever since my dad has got progressively worse and worse, I have gotten, you could say, more angry, I guess, with the whole situation, just because I, like, question God a lot of, like, why would you do this? Like, what was your goal behind all of it? And, like, I would just become so upset and, like, didn't even want anything to do with God and just was really frustrated. And then I looked up the definition of humility, and it is a low view of oneself, or a modest view of oneself. And for me, it's not like I don't have humility. It's just I want to be able to show it more and to take the focus off of myself. Like, when I'm helping others, like, I don't want the focus to be on me, and I want it to be more on, like, the others and, like, God blessing me in this way of being able to help others. Big examples of that, like, God has put me in situations where I didn't even realize he was doing it. Probably at the very beginning of the spring proposal, or capstone, I was in a car with Haley, and we were going down the road, and we witnessed a car accident happen right in front of us. Had no idea what to do, but I got out of the car and went right to the people and started helping them with whatever they needed. And little did I know, like, that was God showing me just, again, like, this is where you're supposed to be, like, calling and, like, everything. Like, God wants me to be the person who is able to help those. And now that I've seen that, it's more for me of, okay, yes, God, you've put this in my life, but I want to be able to show it like the glory to you and not to me. And through that, it's not been easy because like you do something, like we all do things for people, and I'm pretty sure every one of us goes, well, I want someone to see like, hey, look at what I just did for that person. And I'm very guilty of it too, but for me, I want to be like, no, I'm able to help that person because God gave me the ability to. So as I dove deeper and deeper into this whole nursing thing and being a senior and realizing that college is now weeks away, I decided that I'm going to major in nursing up in Colorado Mesa, and just to see, I feel that that's where God's calling me to be. And even though like I won't be home to like help my dad all the time, I feel like this is what God has called me to do. So that's the big part of where my journey is going to go. I was also able, one day after school, I was hanging out with my friends, and we were at King Soopers, and I just was like, I don't know what I'm going to do for this capstone project, have no idea. And this old lady walks in to King Soopers, and she could barely push the cart, and I felt like right there, like my friends were having fun, I felt very called to go help this lady. So she sat in her, like the little scooters they have there, and for probably a half hour, 45 minutes or so, I helped her get whatever she needed from King Soopers and to help her load it into her car and just to like ask her about her journey and her story. Her name was Irene, and she's 89 years old, and her husband died just a couple months ago, and he would do all the grocery shopping, so for her this was something very new. So I talked to her, and she opened up. Like usually strangers, like you have no idea who they are, or like you just see them, and she like opened up to me about her life and like the struggles she goes through, and I was kind of able to share a little bit of my story to her and like show her, I don't know, love and like just that someone actually does care and like she doesn't go unnoticed. We were able to go and shop for her, and for me it was not just a test of like being caring and stuff, but it was also a major test for humility of like knowing that you're going into this not wanting anything in return, and just to show that you're there and that's all that it is. And after we finished our grocery shopping for her and put the stuff in her car, she thanked me for all I did, and she goes, thank you for helping me, but thank you for spending time with me. Like that was the most important thing to her. And for me, like I realized that really quickly, like, oh, that's a big part of my life. Like my dad could buy me anything I want, like because material things can be replaced, but spending time is not replaceable because you never know when that time is up. So as that came to a close, I guess you could say, I really looked back on this whole experience to see what I had learned through the fall experience and also through this spring experience. And as I looked, my faith is still not where I want it to be going into college, because from this moment forward, like college is going to test it, and also the nursing field with all the nasty things you can see in that. And I want to be able to defend my faith and also be able to preach to those who not necessarily know who God is, or who could also like use that kind of love and compassion from Him. And for the humility part, that's a work in progress. I have a very short temper with a lot of things. And just to become more humble and like show more respect and be thankful for what I have and not what I wish I had. Because we are all so blessed, and for me personally, I could look and say like, why don't I have this or why don't I have that? But I'm trying to change my mindset to look at it as what I already have and be thankful for that. And to be able to care for those who don't always get it. I was never, or I've never been really good with just helping strangers in those kind of situations. Like, helping her was, the older lady, was really hard because I didn't know her. I didn't know anything about her. I was scared because I didn't know if she's going to be rude to me or if she's going to be nice. But just knowing, like, everyone has a story, and just to confirm that on Wednesday when Vance Johnson came in, like, everyone has their own story, and you could walk by him in the streets and you wouldn't even know that man's story or this old lady's story. And for me, that was a real eye-opener just for going down the road, because I absolutely love hearing people's stories, and to be able to have the opportunity to go into nursing, I'm really excited to see what that field can take me into and to see how God can bless that. So, thank you.
Does anyone have any questions or comments for Jake? Please repeat the questions.
I just want to say that I think because of your honesty about how you suffered, you speak with great authority. And you're the giant in the room. I really admire you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Do you think if like the nursing doesn't work out, that you'll still work in another medical field?
If the nursing doesn't work out for me, my plan is to not only be a registered nurse, but to also be an EMT paramedic on the side as well. So looking into it, I could be a nurse and do 3 12-hour shifts, and then I could also be a paramedic on the side as well. So I think that's what I'd like to do, but I don't know.
How do you see like, or through this project, have you seen like how maybe God like put your dad in your life and like that whole situation in your life in order to like cultivate this like love and care for like other people? Like have you seen like any of that during your life?
Having my dad, like, being a part of it, like, for your question, I think that's exactly why I'm going where I am. Because that's all I know. Like, from when I was a little kid, like, growing up and helping him with everything, like, that's all I know. So I feel that's something that will just come so natural to me in the nursing field. So.
Are you afraid of blood and like pieces of bodies and disgusting people touching you and stuff?
Am I afraid of all those nasty things? No, I am not. I absolutely hate it when it's on myself, but on other people it doesn't bother me. So.
Thank you so much for coming for Jake's project, which you enjoyed.